Sometimes it's nice to do something a little bit different with corn, on the cob in particular. So we're going to do it as take it off the cob. And a lot of you may not have experienced taking it off the cob since you had children who lost their two front teeth. So you may not have a good concept of how this is done. First thing you do is, of course, shuck the cob. And then make sure that you cut the base so that it's nice and flat, because you don't want it wiggling around. Also notice I've got just an old pan here and a cutting board inside that, and that's going to corral a lot of the corn. I'd also advise that you wear an apron, however, because you're going to get splattered a bit as you do this. Get as much of the silk off as you can. You could do this after you roasted corn if you had left over after a barbecue, but you can also do it this way. It's not cooked at all. It's really sweet. Now, the thing you need to remember about corn is that in general you need to use it the day it's harvested, if at all possible. If you can't use it within that time, then it'll keep 1 to 2 days in a tightly closed plastic bag in the refrigerator, and beyond that it's really not as sweet anymore. It's not nearly as good a quality. So once you get all that off there, we're only cutting the tips of the kernels, maybe about halfway down, because you don't want to get any of the cob. So the next step, and this is something they do if you make cream corn as well, just run the back of your knife down the cob, and that will get the rest of that nice sweet juice out of there, so that you'll have all of the flavor that's in that cob, but you won't have the cob itself. All right, set that to the side. Now I've already gone ahead and got the corn. You need about 3 cups of fresh corn, and if you were in a real tight place, you could use frozen corn for this. You could even probably use canned corn, but fresh corn makes it really special, and if it's a possibility, I strongly encourage it. Even in the winter, if you are wanting to do this, the stuff that you do yourself is going to have a little bit better flavor, a little bit sweeter flavor, because it comes off so early in the season. Check farmers markets if your own garden's not working. If otherwise, use your own fresh garden corn. And do this the day you harvest if you can. I've got a large skillet here. I'm going to add about a tablespoon of vegetable oil to that. And the next step is we're going to add some mustard seed. Now I have 2 kinds of mustard seed here. There are actually 3. This is the type that most of us are familiar with from making pickles, bread and butter pickles, and so on. It's got a nice flavor, but it doesn't have a lot of spice to it. I'm actually going to use brown mustard seeds. These are more pungent, they're more aromatic, and they have more heat to them, so that you get more effect if you use this kind. There's also the 3rd kind is black mustard seed, and that one is even more spicy. So we're going to roll this around, and we're basically going to make pop mustard seeds the same way you do if you make popcorn. So we've got it on a medium to a medium-high heat. Keep the pan moving from time to time until they start to actually pop, and then put the lid on the pan just so they don't pop all over the kitchen. Once you get that popping motion stopping inside the pan, then you're ready to go on with the next step. Okay, you can see this one's starting to go crazy, so I'm going to put the lid on it and keep all that in there. When the sound stops, you're ready to proceed. Okay, that's pretty much done. The next step is a couple of things. I'm going to stir in some turmeric. I have about 1/4 of a teaspoon of that, and I'm also going to stir in, and turn this down a little bit, a serrano pepper. Now remember, serrano peppers are hotter than jalapenos, and so you're going to want to wear gloves when you're working with them, and make sure that you don't touch your hands. Once you get all this blended together, we're going to stir in our 3 cups of corn. We're going to stir this together also, and then we're going to put the lid on it and let this cook. It depends on how well you like it done, how fresh it is, but anywhere from 4 to 8 minutes is all that we need to do on this. And we want to make sure that the corn still has a little bit of crispness to it when we finish. And as it's cooking, we're going to put a lid on it and take it off every 2 minutes or so and give it another stir. Okay, when the timer goes off, you are ready to proceed here. You're almost done, so it's almost soup, so to speak. We're going to take it off the heat at this point. We've got a couple of more ingredients that we want to add, primarily salt and pepper, and then some specialty things. I'm going to add just a little bit of salt, and you can increase the amount if you want. The recipe calls for about 1/4 of a teaspoon. When I tested this out earlier, the corn was so sweet and the other ingredients in there that it may not need any at all. So I really recommend that you taste before you add salt all the time, but here in particular. We're going to add a 3rd layer of heat to this. I brought extra pepper because, as you can see, it tends to blow away when we're outside. So about 1/4 of a teaspoon of black pepper. So we have the heat from the mustard seeds, we have the heat from the serrano peppers, and now we've got a little bit more heat from the black pepper itself. So stir those in. Last couple of things I'm going to add in: a teaspoon of fresh lime juice, and then a couple of tablespoons of fresh cilantro. Now, if you are not a fan of fresh cilantro, you could always substitute flat leaf parsley at that point, but it really adds another element of flavor that really makes this special. And that's all there is to this one. It is fabulous either when it's hot or when it comes up to room temperature. And I think that you're going to find that this is a really nice alternative way to use some of that great corn that you're growing this summer. This is Spicy Fresh Corn for Oklahoma Gardening. I'm Barbara Brown.